Welcome to The Last Talk Show. Tonight, we're talking with writer-director of One Crazy Summer, Savage Steve Holland, and three of the stars of the movie, Joel Murray, Bobcat Goldthwaite, and Curtis Armstrong. Enjoy.
All the way from the island of Nantucket, Massachusetts, it's The Last Talk Show! The Last Talk Show!
Bobcat!
Hi.
Welcome to Nantucket.
Thanks. Thank you. So Curtis and Savage Steve and Joel, they're all going to join us.
The nice thing about the pandemic has been you can reach out to people who otherwise are, everyone, by the way, is too busy all the time. And now there's a little bit of like, I could do it half hour on Zoom, fine.
Yeah. It's also, we've done things a little bit over the years because we have a soft spot for this movie. It was fun.
It looks like, though I don't know, that Steve was kind of left alone to just go make a movie.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, you should ask him that because I don't know, but I felt like we were getting away with murder.
Hello, Joel. Welcome.
Hey, now I can hear you.
Fantastic.
I'm in a closet. I was on Martha's Vineyard, and they asked Billy to do a thing before their makeshift drive-in, and he introed Groundhog Day on Martha's Vineyard. And I heard that One Crazy Summer was playing at the next island over.
Right.
I said, gosh darn, I could be some help, you know.
Right. Over on the cool island. Oh, wait, Savage Holland is here.
So good to see everybody. Who's that guy?
I know, I wasn't, I actually might have been in the movie. I might have been an extra in it, but I'm Donick. Nice to meet you.
This is my third Zoom call of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
What have you been doing? It seems like I'm doing that all the time.
I know. I don't have any friends, so it kind of helps, you know.
Oh, this is the sad part of the movie. Hopefully it gets better later.
Hey!
Curtis!
How are you?
That's Donick up there. We never met him until now.
That's right. You don't know me, but it's nice to see you guys all together finally again.
Well, sort of, yeah. So he'll do an interview, and this will play for the folks before the movie starts.
Excellent. Well, I should probably do this then.
Wow.
Oh, man.
You stole that. You just took that.
Welcome back to Nantucket. First of all, this is monumental. So thank you for coming.
This is awesome.
It's so great to be back on the first day of fall, now that One Crazy Summer is over.
One Nutty Autumn.
Yeah.
One Nutty Autumn, the sequel. Long in the making.
So, Savage, how did you pick? I'm sorry, I'm already Shanghaiing this, but how did you pick like Nantucket? Were you had a connection to it, or?
You know what? I spent every summer in Cape Cod and Hyannis, and I had been to Nantucket once. My mom took me on a bus, and we never got out of the bus. We took the bus onto the ferry, off the ferry, around the island, onto the ferry, and back. So that's all I remember about it. I remember that I kind of hated it because I could have been at the beach, but I was on this bus all day. But I wanted the idea to be that the characters were kind of trapped somewhere. So I thought if they put them on an island, and when I scouted Nantucket, which I had only done that one time, I freaking loved it. I was there in like January, and it was like 20 below zero, but it was just so cool, and I've loved it ever since.
And when we made the movie, I remember Nantucket loved us. They loved us. They were so happy that we were there.
The time that we spent actually on Nantucket was brief, right? I don't remember how much we spent time compared to Hyannis. I know that we spent time on both.
Yeah,
we were up and down the Cape quite a bit, but
yeah.
on the island only about a week, I think.
Yeah, it was like 6 days for establishing and stuff like that, because you got to remember that it was, by the way, I don't know how we did this or how this ever happened, but we were there during like major summer. I mean, we were there in like in August. So to get hotels and stuff like that was crazy. So we spent 6 days there. Remember, we were shooting 6-day weeks, which were really painful. But we did 6 days there and established it and used the main street and all the cool stuff that's there. We tried to pick out everything that's beautiful about Nantucket and try to grab it for this zany movie.
I just remember how happy they were when these gigantic trucks were rolling down the cobblestone streets.
And the cobblestones were coming loose. Yeah, they weren't real happy about that, but I think we did okay.
Remember we were filming a scene on the street, and then I'm doing my Grover voice, right? And some old guy runs up. I don't know if you yelled cut yet. And he goes, "Mashugana!"
But we did get to meet Fred Rogers one night at the Mad Hatter.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I never heard that.
I never heard that.
Well, I went out drinking more than some of you guys.
I doubt it. Wait, I, on the Cape, I sort of remember maybe there was a Teddy Kennedy night. Did I dream that, Joel, or did that happen?
No, that was in Hyannis. That was a Kennedy cousin.
You ended up on the Kennedy compound.
I ended up back at the Kennedy compound with
Curtis,
Cookie,
what
the lovely.
were you and I doing? So were you doing like mad rails with Mr. Rogers? Were you just partying?
No, he was having a quiet dinner, and I just went up to bother him. I said, "I'm sorry, you're Fred Rogers. I got to say hello."
I had one encounter with Fred Rogers when I was 5 years old here, walking up Main Street, and he was with a lunch party, had just come from something, and saw a little kid and immediately ran over, and we talked for about an hour. And even at 5, I could see his lunch party going like, "Oh my God, we got to deal with this guy. He just wants to talk to kids and be nice to people."
Well,
Actually, I was doing a play once, a Brecht play in Pittsburgh, and Fred Rogers came to see it. And everybody backstage was so excited. It was Galileo, Life of Galileo, I think. And we were so excited because Mr. Rogers was like, and he's in the front row. So it's so awesome that he was there. And then he got up and left in the middle of the play. And it was heartbreaking because he didn't like our neighborhood.
wow.
It was a horrible day in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Did he change his shoes and then leave?
Yeah. Stop and gone.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring the party down, but
No, that's all right. I missed out on all this celebrity hobnobbing. I was working a lot on I was really an indoor model rocketry.
Estes rockets.
I was building a lot of rockets. I was
And shooting off the hotel hallway. That was so cool.
yeah.
You did launch one in a hotel hallway during the shoot?
No, multiple, not just one. When I'm number like 10 on the call sheet, I got a lot of free time. Something's gonna blow up.
You're number one in our hearts, though.
Well, thanks. I enjoyed being a fourth banana or whatever I was. I would be really hard pressed to think of a more fun time making a movie.
It looked like they kind of left you alone. Was that what happened?
Yeah, I would actually say that. It was super fun, and we had to shift some things. Like these three gentlemen here just brought so much more comedy than it deserved. You know, it's like they were sort of took the lead. Seriously, I mean, like some of those scenes on there, like the little fat boy speech, which you'll be hearing, was just Bob and Curtis saying, "Hey, you just got to hear this." And so like that's in the hotel while they're blowing up stuff. And I'm like, the next day we're just changing everything to shoot that scene, and it was just so great.
It was lunchtime while we were shooting.
Right.
I was sitting at the table, and Bobcat came up and said, "Come with me. I want to try something." And we went to that the Eggs garage.
Eggs garage.
And he said, "Let's try this." And he ran that scene with me, and I was just playing off of him, but it was all in his head already. And then he said, "Okay, when Savage gets back to the set, let's run this for him." But it was that moment. It was not the night before.
Yep, we marched down the street. We were like, "Let's just shoot this." It was so funny.
That's what you did. You said, "Let's do it."
But you let us improvise left and right. And that was the first thing I had ever done. The first thing I'd ever been on film. And I'm improvising lines. And you're like, yeah, fine. Okay. You ever notice how people die in alphabetical order?
Yeah,
I mean,
I love that.
I've got a bunch of lines in the movie. And I tell people, no, I made that up. And they're like, yeah, bullshit. No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but don't forget, if it works, I get credit for it as writer.
Right.
So thank you.
You would just see the other guys on the set, you know, and there's Curtis in shorts, and it's just like, what are we doing? You know, and I mean, Curtis probably had way more experience than us. So Joel and I were really naive, you know. We thought, well, this is how you make a movie. You just come up with ideas, and this director will shoot it, and it's not that.
Every couple of days, they'll send you to a clam bake or a lobster boil on another island or something, and fly you over places until you have a good time.
Yeah, think about Joel though. I mean, like, it's funny because he's such a natural, but you could see that, you know, I was surprised he hadn't done more actually, because when I got his tape while we were casting, and I forget why he was in Chicago. That's probably why, but his tape was so amazing, and it was like a whole different direction. And I think Joel was worried that we were going to get with Jeremy Piven because he's Cusack's best friend, and he was up for
in real life.
But Joel had such a charm and a sweetness to him that I was like, I just absolutely have to have that guy. And he was sort of, I think, Joel, you were a little nervous. I remember your first shot was like graduation, and you were a little nervous. But once you cracked that first scene, you were amazing, and you just every day got funnier and greater and better. And it was so fun to watch you grow throughout that stupid movie. It was awesome.
This is the best therapy I've had in a while.
But that was your first audition too, right, Joel?
It was the first thing I ever auditioned for. And
Lord.
the callback was in Hyannis. So I got the part in Hyannis then, and I brought an overnight bag, and I stayed for the rest of the shoot. I basically had a toothbrush and another pair of underwear, and that was it. So I stole every piece of clothing. You can brag all you want about your hat, Curtis. I stole like every piece of clothing I had because I had nothing else to wear.
I remember Piven shows up. Do you remember? It's like, hey, John's buddy's here. Yay. First night, he gets drunk and dives into the bottom of the pool, the shallow end.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's got mortician wax.
Oh,
like,
I forgot about that.
a big cut in his head.
That's a great thing to look for when you watch the movie. Look at Piven's forehead. Just keep an eye out for that.
Well, let's think of what's Piven's first scene in the movie, shooting-wise, Steve.
I think he's on the dock when the Ferrari pulls up.
You know, Savage Steve is just amazing and awesome, and he just would write these live-action Mad Magazine movies. You know, I mean, where there would be warmth and heart, and there would actually be the regular struggle of a normal protagonist. But then you'd be shooting a scene, and a dog would be pushing a cat in a wheelchair.
What I loved about seeing the movie was not only it was about my hometown or set in my hometown, but that the jokes you were executing could only be done in animation, and somehow you were doing them, had done it.
Of a curse actually, because it's like I don't have the patience if something doesn't have some sort of punchline, like some stupid puppet comes out and does something. I think the scene's wasted, you know. So like one other thing that's interesting about the ending of the movie was no lobsters were hurt unnecessarily in this movie, but yes, we did hurt some lobsters. We ate them. We immediately hurt them and then put them in boiling water and ate them for lunch. Like when the scene where they dump, I don't even know why we did this, but we dumped like seriously maybe 500 lobsters into a swimming pool. I mean, I'm sure there was another way it could have been done, but then lunch that day was lobsters. Yeah. And so the whole point of this thing with Mark Metcalf, the bad guy, with Mr. Becker, was that he tortures lobsters. And in the end, there was this big, on top of this stupid big giant port dolphin with rabies, there was supposed to be this big lobster that was going to come and grab him when he gets out of the beach after being eaten by a shark and by the dolphin. So when we got the, it's sort of like the anti-Jaws story, because when we finally got this lobster, it showed up the minute we were shooting. And it was like a thing, even for my dumb jokes, like when Teddy has like a lobster on his nose, it's clearly like a plastic piece of crap lobster. But I just couldn't do that final scene with that. We had a pretty bad lobster thing. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but it was pretty painful. So I had to revamp that, but it's just something to look forward to. Like that, the whole thing about Becker said in The Lobsters was that he was going to get eaten by one in the end.
Well, I like that it's just like you throw a bunch of lobsters in the pool, and it's like, well, that's a wrap on the lobster. Let's just get those right over to craft service, okay? When we did the Godzilla scene, that's me in the suit because they put the stuntman in the Godzilla suit and he fell over like a turtle and he couldn't get up. And so they kind of talked me into being in the suit, and there's flames. I remember it being in the suit and it's like flames. I can see it's lighting up the interior of the suit. But the stunt guy goes, well, you wouldn't burn to death. The fumes from this thing would kill you. So we've got it figured out. We're going to throw you in the pool. And I go, well, this is a 70-pound sponge. And he goes, oh, yeah. Okay. So then they get a scuba diver to be in the bottom of the pool in case I catch on fire that they're going to knock me into. But
that's the one thing I still have nightmares about. Seriously, it's one of those things. I just have this horrible image of you and you're on fire. First of all, I'm sure nobody tested that suit. It's polyurethane, weighed about 800 pounds, like you said. What if you and you couldn't see out of it? So what if you fell? Like, what if you fell in the pool? You would have died. I mean, there was, and I didn't think about that at the time because I was laughing. Oh, look at Bob, this is great. But what if you were dead now because of me?
I guess there wouldn't have been a Police Academy 4.
Oh,
I don't know.
Thank God.
I don't want to think about a world without that.
But I remember, wasn't Bill Hickey coming off the like an Oscar or an Oscar nomination?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Prince's
Honor.
Comes up
yeah.
All right, now you really want to shoot the cigar into Godzilla's mouth. With your motivation?
Donick, there does come a point where do we want to apologize to the audience for what's going to happen? Like, what if some of them haven't seen this movie before?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I just read something about the bunnies at the end exploding.
That was just a payback for Siskel and Ebert that hated Better Off Dead, my first movie. So again, I had to come up with an ending. I think I had like 20 more minutes of John going to Rhode Island School of Design, where he met Diane Franklin, which sort of brought it to Better Off Dead. It was all these horrible ideas. So I just had to come up with a new twist on the end. And so I just came up with a thing like, oh, I'll get revenge on, Ebert and Siskel. And that was kind of what that was about. But I just kind of had to end the movie somehow. So I just did it on a cartoon. And then I guess we go to Bruce Wagner and he was also in a whole nother story. But Bruce at the radio thing was pretty damn funny. He's a brilliant guy.
Right now, there's like headlights turning on in the drive-in and people are going, now I know the end.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
I had also, I have to mention the subplot, which I lost.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, which I had because Akak found a
horseshoe clam, horseshoe crab.
A horseshoe crab, right?
Yeah.
A horseshoe crab, and that he became friends with the horseshoe crab because he had no friends. It really spoke to me, and they used an actual crab for like the close-ups, but when there were these scenes where Akak was sort of sadly walking down the beach with the crab next to him, it was a plastic crab, and it was another one of those things. Well, it turned out I married into the Cape because I'd never been there before this movie, and Elaine, her family lived in on Cape Cod, and so and her brother Rob was working on that prop.
Oh,
when
wow.
I wind up marrying the woman whose brother worked on the horseshoe crab in One Crazy Summer. I thought it was
that could cut out. Because there's also, if you want to look at the scene where Demi has her big moment, Akak's out there dancing, and he was
right.
And the crab's name was Stymie, because I was trying to do like a Little Rascals kind of thing with all you guys, and it was just really dumb.
Well, what was great was we shot all of those scenes with this crab.
Yes.
And then after we wrapped, and I was back in LA, I get a call from Savage. He says, "Hey, Curtis, I got some bad news. He said, we had to cut Stymie. And I went, but those are all my scenes. What else do I have? And fortunately, there were some other things in there.
Did you call Stymie with the same call?
What was the same
Stymie. I'm sorry, Stymie.
Yeah.
Curtis isn't working out.
Yeah.
You were great. You were great.
No, you killed it.
I think there is one very brief Stymie spotting in the Dewdrop Inn there when we're dancing, and it was like Roomba Stymie.
Yes.
It was semi-mechanical.
Yeah.
I think there's one little snippet of Stymie in the movie.
Yeah.
In case you're a Stymie fan.
Yeah.
I know people here will love to hear about location stuff. Do you have any memories of like Nantucket locations or places that were like, oh, we rented that out, or we shot at this beach, or anything like that?
I just remember like the most key things were like Main Street, and then kind of owning the dock, the Straight Wharf, which was pretty. Wait, yeah, the Straight Wharf is where the ferry comes in, right? Gosh, I'm so sorry. But that was pretty big because there were still people coming in, so it was kind of like epic to take up such a huge space with all our people.
Did you watch dailies at the movie theater there?
Yes, yeah, I think we did. Yeah, that was
At the Dreamland?
Yeah. I don't know if it was the Dreamland then, though. I don't think
it's the only like small art house that was there.
But you know what was funny was that we have always wondered after this, like, I wouldn't say 30 years or something since this movie came out, why Nantucket shunned us. And we're all like, well, it's probably because of the drive-in theater scene, you know, because it's so unrealistic that everybody's going crazy. And we're like, how can we ever get people to like watch it and believe in us? So I think it was Curtis who said, let's have a pandemic.
So the drive-in movie, there was a shot of the billboard at one point. It says the two movies that are playing there.
Yes. Oh, I want to tell you about those too. The really fun thing about anyway, those were shot in Barnstable or like the Hyannis, drive-in that I would go to every summer, which was my favorite things to do every night I could. But Bobcat shot those scenes, Hemorrhoids from Hell and Date Night Massacre. He had this little B unit that was shooting with fog and all these cool things that I never even thought of, like putting in the movie. And so Bob's got all this Apocalypse Now stuff going on, like 20 feet from where we're shooting all these crabby actors that don't want to even be with me. And every time I would go over and be with Bob, and I'm like, this is what filmmaking's supposed to be. And then I'd go back and there'd be the crabbing, and I don't mean Stymie, I mean actors that don't like me. So Bob did such a good job on these stupid little scenes that made them into something. So that's Bob. Bob did the drive-ins.
Yeah, it is kind of funny though, isn't it? It's like there's smoke and I've got all these effects. And
yeah, no, you had an A-list like team of people
and
doing
you're pulling a plastic crab on a filament.
Bobcat, did you go into it knowing you were going to shoot those, or was that kind of something that just came out?
It was all of this was super collaborative, and it was just really, it was, you know what, it really kind of ruined it, because I just thought this is what filmmaking was going to be. You just hang out with a lot of people that are really funny, and you get along, and you collaborate, and you come up with stuff, and then, you know, and then smash cut and someone saying you're supposed to say those, not theirs, and you know, read it the way I wrote it, you know. So
yeah, there's definitely a void of Steve Holland movies in the world today.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
We need Steve back. There was never a better time than shooting that movie. And I've run into more guys that are like 38 years old. I think that's about the wheelhouse. They talk about they've seen this movie 100 times, and it's maybe their favorite movie, the formidable movie of their youth. And I say, you know what? I'm not looking to meet any 38-year-old guys right now. Can you just back off a little bit? Just back off a little bit further.
Can I add another one, which another favorite memory, which was Joe Flaherty, who played Akak's dad, who we worshipped because of SCTV. We're shooting the scene on the beach at night with the Boy Scouts, and he's out there, and we were up behind, like on a sand dune, watching Joe and he would do this. I mean, it was like a Count Floyd thing that he was doing, where he would say, "Now, there has been a plane crash on this beach, and everyone is in pieces all over. There are eyeballs on over there, and fingernails on, and he's just doing stuff, and it was so much fun because we had to keep quiet because they were filming, and he did it differently every time.
I mean, that was the other thing. We had these amazing actors. Like we had Billy Bird, remember, guys? And
Yeah.
like, I mean, she's been around since like really, like, I'm going to say Dick Van Dyke type. I'm sure I'm saying the wrong person, but like those kind of old things you'd watch after school that were like really funny. You're like, who is that lady? I mean, she's just so brilliant every time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's really cool to have her in our movie.
Right. She does the boobs thing in Pretty in Pink or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I remember the scene at my grandmother's house where we could not get our lines out. We could not get the scene done. We laughed so hard with Billy Bird, and there was like 6 of us at the table, and we could just not stop busting up. And that was, I don't think I've ever had a case of that bad in my career, where you just couldn't get anything done.
The dog pushing the cat in the wheelchair. I remember that being another one where, like, we're all supposed to be, you know, saying our lines, and it's supposed to be a sad moment. I don't know, man.
I'll never forget it. It was, and I think that was probably on Cape Cod, but it was pounding rain. It was like the only time, when you think about how lucky we were with like weather, and like we're out on boats doing like Jaws type stuff, and the fact that nobody got too sick, or we had pretty good weather and we got all that stuff shot, was pretty amazing when you think about it. But I remember one time that it was just pounding rain, and which is why later on in the scene when Mark Metcalf kicks Bosco, everybody's pretty wet. You might notice that, but I tried to put in like on the radio station, there was a weather report saying might rain later.
That's where people weren't going to be able to suspend their imagination. That's where they're going to go fake. When it rain.
You got me. But I just remember Curtis getting kind of like, he's had enough, like most people probably did at that point. But he said, why aren't we like going somewhere else and shooting something? Because it was like just pounding rain. So went into this stupid little room that happened to be nearby to shoot that fake. They dressed it up in about 10 minutes to make it an animal hospital. And I was just like, you know, we need a funny joke at the end. So I don't know how, but I just asked somebody. They always could get me anything I wanted. I don't know how it worked, but they got me that stupid dog pushing a cat. And it's like, yeah. And then you guys had to say lines while that's happening.
I might be wrong, but what I remember from that is that you started the scene on the dog pushing the cat. So that had to be gotten right. And then you came up where your entire cast is waiting to start to talk. But you started on the dog pushing the cat.
Right.
Yep. I'm not proud.
So here's the rap on Demi being here. Like, local businesses were all like, she was difficult. She didn't like the sandwich. She sent back the coffee.
She was very nice. She never demanded a different sandwich from me. So I've got no beef. It was funny because it was Cusack and Demi, and Tom Pollard was kind of known for different things, and Curtis and I and Joel, and we would go out, and there would always be like someone going, "Booga, booga!" Like they didn't recognize Demi or John, but they always recognized Curtis from.
Yeah.
I remember more of the classic of leaving Joel buried up to his neck in the sand at lunch. You know,
that was good fun. You're never heard less than when you're 6 inches tall, just a head on sand. Nobody can hear you beg, "Hey, could anybody itch my nose? Are you guys all going to lunch? Because I'm a little hungry."
So, I have a question about the beach there with the gag where, is it me? If someone gives the kid a kite or a balloon, a kite.
Yeah.
And then the kid just shoots out of the frame. Where was that kid's parents? That seemed really, really sketchy.
I was going to ask you about the Beach Boys too. You have an incredible soundtrack for this, which I can't imagine the budget was $100 million, but getting the Beach Boys, and how do you get like ZZ Top, Beach Boys, etc.?
Didn't you have to play the movie for Brian Wilson?
Yes, yeah, I did. And then the thing was, I did that because I wanted him to do a theme song if it was possible. So I did a screening for him and his a guy named it was like his
Eugene Landy.
Gene, wait, who said that?
I did. Eugene Landy.
Yes, Eugene Landy. Yes, and then Eugene said to me, like Brian never said anything, and then Eugene said, "There's no palm trees in this," and I'm like, "No, it's Nantucket." And he goes, "Well, that's not cool. There's no palm trees." And then they walked out, and that was it. And then I did it for for Mike Love and a couple of the other guys, and then they said it was too foggy, so it didn't match them. So bless their hearts, at least they stuck. They sat through it.
But they also somehow signed off on it, and you got all the songs, which is great. I guess you had to endure the they didn't like it, but we got their music or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think sadly for them, I don't think they had any say in it because they had sold their catalog to maybe A&M or whoever had it, Warner's or whoever had it. So like I said, they just gave me music that I could put in the movie, and I was like, I cannot believe how many cool songs are on here. So yeah, we really lucked out. There's some really cool classics in there.
A quick thing from the internet. It said, Curtis, you almost drowned filming the boat race. Was there something that happened on that?
Yeah, I had kicked off my shoes to dive into the water, and I was wearing these big white socks, these sports socks, and I didn't even think about it. And, but as soon as I started swimming, they were soaked and heavy, and they started sliding down my leg, and I couldn't get any traction in the water. And I was supposed to swim from whatever I had jumped off of, the camera boat, I guess, and then swim to the boat where the guys were. And I barely made it. I was not in good shape.
For something that from the internet sounded like, oh, that'll be a funny story. That actually sounds terrifying.
I remember a lot of people got seasick, and that boat race ended up taking a lot longer, which is.
I got terribly sick on that. I remember that.
I remember people throwing up, but I remember them bringing tuna sandwiches, like a
bad choice at the moment. Yeah.
They were warm. That's important.
They've been out in the sun.
I remember there was a scene where I had to paddle out. I was, for some reason, on an inner tube, and I'm swimming and it's inflating or whatever. But I had to bump into the rabid dolphin with rabies, which is redundant. But I had to swim and run into it, and it was like a 3,000-pound submarine. And so I would be swimming along, take after take, and run into this thing like hitting a linebacker. But then I would go back, and we were like 2 miles offshore next to a big barge, and they would take the brooms and keep me in the water because it was too cold to get out. It was better in the water, but they would take brooms and get all the man-o-war jellyfish away from me. So I'd be waiting for the next tape, surrounded by grips, like getting jellyfish away from me, and then I'm going to go swim into the submarine again.
I never heard that. That's terrible.
All three of us have near-death experiences on your movie.
It was one crazy summer.
Beyond.
I have something else for show and tell. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it or not.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
This was something Bobcat dreamed up. That's because we were shooting on this dock, and they had these huge fish. And Bobcat thought it would be funny because he had the gorilla outfit, and so he staged this picture. And I don't remember where we wound up getting it. I got a copy of it from somewhere.
Yeah, I have a copy of that too.
Summer Vacation originally, right, Savage?
Yeah.
What was it called?
It was called My Summer Vacation, but that was a temp title, and then they were going to call it My Nantucket Summer, but they didn't think enough people would know Nantucket, and then.
Yeah, and it was Greetings from Nantucket.
Yes, yeah, which probably would. I don't know. I was just sort of. It's funny because I knew Bob would hate it. It's like One Crazy Summer is sort of like calling Woody Allen like that nutty New York guy. It's like it was crazy, yeah, and it was a summer, but I wasn't too happy about it. But now it's grown on me. Everybody else happy with it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
you know, growing up, I graduated high school here in 1986, and every summer up till that point had been like Porky's or like this movie. It was like a party in the summer, but then we would stay, everyone would leave, and I thought the mainland was kind of like that because that's where everyone would go. And we would stay, and it would kind of be like The Shining, where it would get weirder and weirder and weirder. And by February, we had people wandering out in the ice in the harbor and weird lighthouse keepers and stuff. I know that there was a sequel maybe in the works called One Epic Fall or something. Was that a little bit about that change of season?
I've written that, and I have these three guys are in it actually, and they play sort of semi-different characters, but the reason is I just wanted a second shot at this thing, you know, and I just made it into the fall because it's extra beautiful in Nantucket in the fall. And so there's a lot of characters that sort of come back from One Crazy Summer. I've mixed up these guys made them somebody new. The reason being is that Warner Brothers owns the movie, and there's no way in hell they're ever going to make a sequel to One Crazy Summer. So I made one fall. Well, a guy could dream, right, Joel?
Nightmare.
Yes.
It's a nightmare.
Some questions from Nantucketers here. I'll rattle through them. Feel free to pass or take them on, or anybody, for no one in particular. From Greg Maringer, he says that John Cusack has an outstanding bill of $22.40 at the tavern. Anybody want to cover it?
True.
I'll be there in about 3 weeks. I'll try to find the tavern and I'll pay it up. Give me his name again.
It's John Maringer.
John was underage at that time. They shouldn't have served him anyway. They're back.
Oh, nice. Yeah. John Maringer.
Are you going to factor in interest in the tip?
$80,000 in Nantucket money.
Kate Hamilton asks, where did they stay and favorite place to eat or drink besides the tavern?
We were in townhouses by the Mad Hatter. You remember there was those topiaries with the characters from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, really?
Mad Hatter was such a great place.
Yeah, well, we owned every basically anything that had a hotel. We were there. I was at the White Elephant, which was so cool. I can't even believe how cool that was.
Ed Merriman asks, Curtis, have you ever gotten asked about the name Ack-Ack? And also, did anyone save mementos from the film?
I don't think anybody really knew what Ack-Ack meant. I didn't at first. Savage had to explain it to me. And the only memento I have is, of course, my hat. I don't have any other mementos.
Oh, you know, it's so
completely. I have Stork and Sons hat, and I wish I dug it out, but yeah, I have that hat. And
I got the Godzilla suit, and you know what? I put it in my attic, and it melted.
Oh.
We had heard that Pee-wee's Big Adventure had a Godzilla scene. And we were like, oh no. And we went and saw that, and then we were like, I think ours is completely different.
Yeah, that was pretty scary because the thing was that on Pee-wee's they had the trailer for Better Off Dead. So we went to see it and we're like, or the other way around. But anyway, we saw Pee-wee and we're like, oh shite. I mean, the guy's got a freaking Godzilla. It's our whole movie is about this Godzilla scene. But I think, ours was different. So thank God. And
remember, he's not Godzilla because, like, in order to get around copyrights, he's got a certain amount of fingers and
still do have. I had like a maroon pullover that I'm riding the moped in one scene, but I still have that for some reason.
Speaking of that moped, if I could just tell you one other horrible thing that happened. The joke was that Teddy comes up and he goes, "I'm going to shove that moped up your ass." Okay. Beep beep. And so the joke then was that we made a moped that looked like it was coming out of Joel's butt when he returns home to his grandma's. And when we screened it for the head of Warner Brothers at that time, he said, that was the most vile thing I've ever seen in filmmaking. And I was like, wow, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people make in films. And I just can't believe that's the most vile, but he was horrified. And it actually looked kind of dumb, so we cut that out, thank God. But that was actually something to look forward to, is that Joel almost had to have this moped sticking out of his butt.
So that moped coming out of Joel's butt was more disturbing than the ox being killed at the end of Apocalypse Now.
See that? Yes. With a big knife. Yeah.
Hey, Joel, how did they keep the moped in your butt?
That was all muscle strength. You just got a lot of kegels.
A lot of kegels, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, there was like a frame around my pelvis, and it just was all natural. It was very, very natural.
It was like, and this is the first time you've been in a movie. They go, "Oh, you got to go down there. They're gonna measure you to put a bed in your butt." Like, yeah, all right.
Oh God.
Jessica Jenkins asks, favorite scene to act in and why?
Kissing Kim Foster was pretty good at the end of the movie. Everybody else had a nice little wrapped up ending, and I had nothing, and I was just kind of standing there at the end, and she was without her boyfriend, and I went to Steve and said, well, what if I just went up to her and said, Cookie, why don't we quit playing all these games? And she gave me the best kiss of all time.
I guess it was kind of, because it was just all these young people and we were just all just going crazy. I think like when we went to film the dance thing, that was really fun because we were just anytime we were all together, it was going to be a lot of laughs. And so anytime we were in a confined space, even better. And it was all of us. It was always pretty funny.
And you had your Elvis wig on. What about you, Curtis?
The stymie scenes, the sad thing is I was hoping that there would be like a director's cut where we could actually see all of the stymie scenes, because I think it was some of my best work.
The one other thing was when Cusack and I were helping Ak-Ak collect shells on the beach, and we had to run and dive into a pit while real bombs were going off around us. That was a good day, because I don't think I've ever been as tan as I was the next day after that. Just full on gas bombs just going off. And that was a hot one. Wow. God, was that cool.
It did look neat, but yeah, they were filled with gas. Anybody skiing a walkie-talkie could set it off. So I don't know.
And did. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
There was a guy who was setting one up in the pit, and somebody keyed their walkie, and it blew up in his face. And
another tragedy from the set.
Yeah, there were a lot of them.
Yes.
Well, we do a segment on this, whatever this show is, called Tips for Kids. This is supports a charity called Musack.org. It's got ACK right in the title. Supports kids' music programs across the country. We do the segment Tips for Kids.
Come on, guys, help the kids out. Go to Musack.org. No, that's the way you spell it.
Do any of you have tips for kids?
I would say, in our culture, this idea that you're never supposed to give up, I would tell the kids to quit and quit often until you end up someplace where you don't want to leave. It's okay to quit. It's just for some reason we're not supposed to give up. It's like, if you're not happy, you should move on,
Yeah, that's great advice.
If you have an idea, say it, and don't be afraid how dumb you are, because one of them might actually pay off. Because I got to make a movie, and that means pretty much anybody can.
That's ridiculous. You're very talented, and you've always just had this this optimism that just penetrates everything you create. There's this whimsy and hope and silliness that always comes through in everything you make. So we definitely could use more of that right now.
And thank you for one of the best times ever.
Thanks for the great time, and thanks for setting me on my path to go off and make my own movie. So thanks.
Oh, I couldn't have done it without you guys. You saved me on that movie, every one of you. It's like incredible. So thank you.
I got one real quick then.
Yay.
You kids, you young people out there, you should vote like you're going to live on this planet for a while.
Yeah.
Think about
Absolutely.
What that entails.
That's a really good one.
And you kids should stay off my lawn.
We're going to wrap it up with a never attempted before on this 4-way lightning round. Last drive-in movie you saw?
We just saw A League of Their Own. We went here in Los Angeles.
I saw something, I remember it was Cape Cod. It was the last time I was at a drive-in, and it was about giant rats taking over, and I can't remember what the name of it was. was a really terrible movie. It was awesome.
I took my daughter, this is several years ago now, but I took my daughter to see The Mummy in Kingston, Ontario.
Joel, what was the last?
I used to go to all the time when I had young kids in a Volkswagen camper. We'd go see a double feature. The first one would be G and the second one would be R, and the kids would swing like monkeys for a while, and then they'd fall asleep and we'd watch the second one. But that was 25 years ago. So I haven't seen one lately. I've seen some in cemeteries where you get that Hollywood Forever kind of thing. But that's not a drive-in. That's just a walk-in.
Keeping with the spirit of lightning round, I'm going to just plow to the next one.
That was lightning-like, yeah.
You're going to have to ask easier questions, man.
Yeah.
You want a lightning round.
Way too old for lightning round. I think we're going to do Metamucil round.
Last thing that made you laugh.
This interview.
Yeah. Actually, the last time I laughed was because we did a little behind the scenes on One Crazy Summer that the guys were with me on, and it was like 100 times funnier than the movie. I've never laughed that hard in my life about really telling what was going on in it. That was like the first time
it was for the Blu-ray.
Yeah, the Blu-ray thing, behind the scenes thing, and we did a little, and it was the last time I've laughed that hard. When I'm with these guys, like I remember being there with them in the summer, man, it was every night we were dying. It was awesome.
Well, I will also say, and I'm not helping my cause with the lightning round, but the joy of having you guys together, you see on the screen in the movie, that's really nice to know that it was there behind the scenes and you guys had such a blast making it is kind of awesome.
Yeah, I that's the thing. It's like, it's a really corny kind of thing that would be a BS thing, but the reality of it is we had an insane fun time, and I think the movie's an insane fun time.
But a lot of happy memories.
If you guys want to do a reunion here, people here would love it. It'd be fun to have everybody out to Nantucket, fill a pool with lobster again, and eat as much as possible. Whatever. So you're legends here. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to give you guys the last word.
Good night.
Hey, enjoy the movie. Enjoy the movie.
But Donick, thank you so much for bringing us all together. It's so great to see all you guys, man. This is a blast.
And don't forget to shop at Murray's Tog Shop, Nantucket's very own Murray's Tog Shop.
Thanks for putting that there, Joel.
Great reference, Joel. Thank you guys so much. Everybody enjoy One Crazy Summer. We'll see you guys soon. Stay safe and sound.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.